this is a test. 1, 2, 3. First stream, everyone. Sorry about that. It's an entire new world opening up for me.
It's always a hassle.
Okay, we're good on the sound
Yeah.
thing. Yeah, because I didn't find it.
Yeah. So it's
Oh, there it is.
Okay. So yeah, you just have to.
Yes, it would be interesting and entertaining without even doing much.
Sorry, don't-
Absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely.
should be coming down.
Also, for our beautiful audience, we want to thank Vulcan for
Yes,
all the hard work
an
that he's doing.
absolute thanks
try
to
and get
Knut
this show.
Vulcan, who's my
Yeah,
techie.
Vulcan, thank you so much.
Without him, I would be completely lost.
Yeah. Also, I'm getting a message in on Discord that apparently the sound is good now.
Yep, sound should be good, and the names have been adjusted as well. So, terribly sorry about that. Welcome to the Unbound. So, little disclaimer, as you can see in the down right corner of your screens, it is a ttrpg that we're playing, the likes of Dungeons & Dragons and Vampire and Call of Cthulhu, meaning that some themes can get a bit dark. If they do, feel free to take a break. Please do take that break if you feel like you need it. As in, there's no shame in it. Take good care of yourself, first of all, and besides that, hopefully enjoy the story. So yeah, I guess it's time for us to begin. Coming in over a midday landscape, over a dry landscape of dry shrublands and shrubbery next to an inland sea, we see a river that runs into the sea, and next to that river is a city, the city of Aphis, the capital of Nekken. This city is where our player characters live. This is where Sargon, Amaru, Nessie, Ardeth and Elalu reside. City is a blend of different colors when it comes to all the draperies that sort of hang between the houses to cover some of the streets for shadow. Most of the houses are sandstone colored, and some of the more elaborate buildings have a sandstone color through which this orange these orange veins that run through them, as in rusty like veins that look like ironstone might actually be part of the sandstone and running through some of the stonework. And we're going to start at a more high-end house in Aphis. A house that has a balcony and some gardens around it that is walled. And in that house we'll see 3 people standing at a table. One of those people would be Messi. Messi, please introduce us to your character, show us or tell us what she looks like.
Messi is approximately 5'10". He's rather tall for light brown skin, brown arms, long black hair with brown highlights. He is well dressed but understated, and doesn't wear anything. Very, very free flowing hair.
Sorry, Mom, I'm gonna. You're slightly low for me. Could you turn up the volume slightly? Because I'm.
Sure. I'll
Okay,
just
thank you.
speak a little louder.
This way I can hear you. Yeah, that's a lot better.
Is that
thank
better? I was saying she is approximately 5'10". She has brown, more like hazel eyes, light brown skin, long black hair with brown highlights, and free flowing hair, no braids. She He's wearing nice clothing, which is kind of understated, and very, very little makeup, almost no makeup.
Standing across the room for you, across the table, are a woman that has similar looks to you. Like she looks like she could be related, and you know her as Aya. And next to her is Jafar. And Jafar sort of leans in over the table and he mentions, look, Moran will be here soon. As in, I know you don't like dealing with the folks of the temple, but he's the hand of Ramat. And he reports directly to our Ramar Ethi.
Do I have
I
to
would
be
prefer
here?
if you were. Like, this is about something that is close to your heart as well. It's about Ofara Moses' current rule and his crackdown on anything that goes against the mother.
It's not like they're going to really listen to me if I speak. So, am I standing around to be a piece on the table, or am I actually supposed to speak to this man?
Cousin, I do think you underestimate some of the priests of the Ziggurat. Not all of them share the Ophar's ways.
I'm just going to do my best. Be politically neutral. Because if I'm not, I'm afraid I'm going to say something that might cause trouble.
All we ask is that you're there. As in, we are sure that Maran will appreciate seeing your face there.
I will try.
They should be arriving, and he looks outside trying to assess the time. Let's go down to the guests' receiving room and see when he arrives. And the woman walks around the table and puts her hand on your shoulder and she says, look, girl, I realize you do not like the idea of working together with any of the temple. But alone, we stand no chance against the Ophat, and this reign of terror that he's creating against the Mother of Eora, it has to stop. The university is one of the best ways we can think of educating people on all the necessities and all the God's purposes.
I know you mean that. I know I have to do this. I'll know this is my responsibility.
Good. Let's go to the receiving room. And your aunt also starts making her way out of this chamber.
Missy closes her eyes for a moment and says a quick mental little word. Takes a deep breath and
as we leave Messi at this scene, we go out of the house and the camera flows to the edge of the city, going into the dry shrublands and moving across it. We see a mountain goat hopping on one of these rocks, and suddenly the mountain goat is grasped by a large lizard-like creature and dragged off the scene as the camera continues on towards another one of these riding creatures that you guys know as Nekadons. The creature after which Nekken has been named, a large lizard-like creature which the people of Nekken and Aphiz have domesticated as beasts of war and beasts of the hunt. And on this Nekadon is a saddle in which strapped is a woman, and on the back behind her is sitting no one else than Ameru. Ameru, please describe your character to us.
So yeah, on the back we see a young man of maybe 18, 19, a fresh priest, a fresh eye of the priesthood of Bofat, sort of white robes adorning him that probably were pristine before this hunt started, accented with a green shawl and some green in the turban. Probably an amount of jewelry that is more than is expected of a man to wear in office. They also sort of exude a sort of not gender neutral, but like what do you call it? Sort of. Oh fuck! The word escaped me. Anyways. Yeah, they're sitting on the back, sort of clutching whatever implementation of straps and/or things to hold on to there is on this Nekadon, slightly too tight.
As you are being shaked back and forth, because riding a Nekadon is not necessarily comfortable. They're these huge lizards that move in an S-like shape, shaping their hips as they sort of claw their way over the rocks in the dry landscape. And in front of you is Tabu, who you're holding tight as well where you can, moving over these rocks quickly, as she's taking you on a hunt for something bigger than usual. And the landscape sort of changes around you from the dry landscape, rocky landscape, to a more smooth, dry landscape that looks a bit like a savanna. And eventually she pulls the reins on this creature as the lizard comes to a halt, and you sort of overlook the savanna, where in the savanna you can actually see off in the distance a few rhinos walking and sort of grazing around, and even further off in the distance there's zebras. And she's like, well then, time for your first bigger hunt. What do you think?
Well, I think that even the ride has been a bit arduous. This is... I thought we were going a step above rabbits. This is I think, a few steps more.
And she looks over the landscape. Well, I wasn't exactly thinking of a rhinoceros, but I would expect to at least.
Wait, you actually hunt those?
Do you feel up for that?
Oh, that's no, God's no.
They weigh like a ton. It's a fight to get them down. I wouldn't advise doing that alone. But yeah, a gazelle or two might be interesting.
Well, hopefully. What
First
do I do?
we have to find a few.
I'm imagining I can't just throw a stick at it like a rabbit.
And she says, help me unstrap this, and she tries to unstrap a spear from her back.
Yeah,
and
I
she
try to help the best.
Takes it from you and she holds it forward. And she pats the Nekadon on its neck and is like, if this guy doesn't get him first, I might be able to take a stab at it. Just hold on tight, okay?
Okay, and I
you
hold on to
onto
the waist,
and she just spurs the lizard, and the lizard just takes off onto the savannah as you go looking for a herd of gazelle and hopefully catch one. So that is Amaru. Taking it from Amaru, we follow our way back to the city. And in the city we go to the large temple complex, to the ziggurat. The ziggurat, which is surrounded by outer walls and many inner courtyards, and a plenty of smaller buildings within the temple complex at all. And at the center is this massive ziggurat, which is connected to the nearby river by what seems to be something that must look like a aqueduct to most people, which leads up to the river at the same height as the top level of the ziggurat, and then just goes down in a form of sloped tower. As we go over the gates of the temple complex, we zoom in on Sargon, who is walking into the temple district, into the inner walls, leading a Necodon as well by the reins, as he makes his way into the temple. Sargon, would you please describe yourself?
Sure, absolutely. What you would see is a man probably in his mid to late 20s. He would have very long flowing, curly, jet black hair, a set of piercing brown eyes, and rather stunning features, some might say. Very well built, has a few nicks and scrapes here and there that have formed scratch scars, essentially, but none that are so overt or so distracting. They just sort of add to his features. You would see that he is currently wearing a long black cashmere bisht, and underneath that he would have this black and bronze scale linothorax, and he's also he's quite clearly wearing a shirt underneath that, but you can't really make out a lot of details of it, and he is wearing a bit of a baggier pair of pants, if any of you are familiar with the looks of a Sherwal. That is the sort of style of pants that he wears. And he would have a number of weapons that are sort of strapped to this Necodon currently as he's leading it by the reins towards the temple. Currently on the lookout for a good friend here at the temple so that he can store away a bit of coin.
So in the temple complex we see Sargon making his way, and he is going to the segment of the temple that is mainly dedicated to Urat, the god of earth and wealth, one of as their domains. Making your way there, it doesn't take you long to spot the one you're looking for at the, well, basically front desk of one of these buildings. If I'm not mistaken, you're looking for Izarutun, or Isa.
So the moment I see her, get very excited to have a little bit of a smile. Issa, it's good to see you
Ah,
again.
Sargon, you're back. Oh, good to see you too.
Yes, I am.
Oh dear, she seems to be stowing something away, and as she does, she sort of claps her hands clean of some dust, and she makes her way to the desk and looks at you. So, how can I help you today?
Well, I've got to put a few things away. Not much this time, not as much as last time. And I'll go over towards his Necodon and reach over towards some of the saddlebags. And visually for the Necodon, it is a little bit darker than most Necodon in color for this region. So probably a very, very dark brown patches and spots over it, with a little bit of sort of caramel brown patches in between that and flowing in between that. While most of the spikes upon the Necodon are sort of that bony ivory, its horns are jet black, and probably not something you see often with them. So it looks like it might have been colored or dyed. But he would go into a saddlebag, pull out a few coin purses, make his way over to her. Here we go.
Oh, new hole. All right then.
Yeah, absolutely.
She opens one of the bags and she looks inside. Well, it certainly looks like, and she sort of starts taking out the coins and starts counting them and taking note of them.
Now perhaps you could tell me anything interesting going on
In the pits. Haven't been in a while. Might as well do another visit sometime soon.
Really?
But yeah, no news.
We should
We
make an
could.
event out of it. Me and you will get drinks. We'll go out. see a
How
couple
about
fights, see a
tonight?
race.
As in, I don't have much to do tonight.
Well, I'm really just getting into town, so the most I have to do is, find a place to rest my head, and then I'll be free,
Right.
free as a bird.
Look, my duties will go on to the next person around dusk, so perhaps, do you already know where you are going to lay your head tonight?
Ooh. Got a rough idea of where I might stay, unless you've got
Well, if you're not
suggestions.
staying at the Serpent's Rest, maybe the Silver Lining, I could meet you there, or...
We'll stick to the traditional
Alright.
serpent it is.
I'll meet you at the Serpent tonight then. I'll make sure that this gets stowed away. And that is on your name.
Oh, yes, thank you very much.
Same,
It's
and
always
see
a
you
pleasure.
tonight.
Absolutely. And I'll give her a bit of a smile. The smallest of appropriate curtsies. And then begin making my way out into the main
Alright.
thoroughfares.
So as Sargon starts leaving the temple district, we are, for my own ease, and because I think it fits better, just turn the camera over to a other street right next to that. And as we do, we will see Elalu walking down one of these streets. Elalu, please describe your character.
She walks with quite bounce in her step. She is like a young teenager, looks around 15, 16 years old, and she has very long flowing hair that doesn't usually get the chance to flow. It's usually in an updo, but it looks to be thankful to have the chance to not be so knotted on up. Her clothes are quite flowy, but when she's going about her walk, you can see she's found ways to kind of sew it and hike it up. So it looks like she's trying to make her clothing last as long as she possibly can. And yeah, she walks with a swing her step and swings along her satchel as she does.
Next to you is a priest. You would know this priest to be an ear. So he works directly for the hands, and the hands could be considered a form of cardinal, perhaps. If we are going to compare things. And you know this man as Baro. And he has asked you to come to the temple today since he's stuck with a bit of a dilemma. Well, as you're making your way underneath the aqueduct, by the way, into the district of Manat here in the temple. So, the holiday's coming up.
It's exciting, isn't it?
It is.
How are the preparations coming along?
I'm quickly trying to open this, sorry. So the blessings of Manat and Urat is coming up, and let's see, we're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days away from it. It's the first time that they asked me to actually lead the ceremony, and I don't want to fuck this up, since this could actually secure my potential position as a hand in the future.
They gave you this opportunity because they know that you could bring so many more to the board, inspire so many people. You inspired
Thank you
me.
for that. The reason I asked you here is I would like you to dance during the ceremony. Is that something
Truly.
you would be
You're not.
willing to do?
too. I never thought they would. I never thought you would ask me. Would they be? You sure that's not? I mean, that's quite new. I mean,
I've seen you dance before, and I'm convinced it would pleasure the gods greatly to see you perform at the ceremony.
I won't let Manap down. I won't let you down.
Thank you. And he sort of waves his open arm towards a building that you know is a shrine to Manap. Going in, this shrine is also connected to this aqueduct. And going in, there's like fountains inside, and there's a central pool of water which is like shallow. And he just goes in after you and is like, "Are you willing to join me in prayer today?"
Boys.
He nods at you, and he sort of goes up to the water and kneels in it, and he starts chanting his prayer to Manap. And as Elalu sits next to him in the water, I is gonna assume that she also would kneel and join him in prayer. And as she does, we're going to follow the camera out of the temple district and on our way to a private house on the edges of the more well-established wealthy houses, where we go inside into a small room. And in that small room is a man sitting on the bed. And this is Ardeth. Ardeth, please describe your character.
I unmuted myself. Ardeth is a stunning man in his 20s. Sitting, but when standing, he is a bit under 6 foot. He is long, white, slightly greyish hair down to his chest. He wears nothing on his upper half, meaning that his toned muscles are fully on show, and seem to shine whenever the light touches them. He is hairless everywhere except his face. He has a beard covering the lower part of his face, full but neat, with 2 braids hanging down from either side of his chin. In spite of his rather impressive appearance, he holds himself a bit meekly and appears a bit shorter than he really is. He keeps his head down to avoid making eye contact with anyone.
And as Ardeth is sitting there, notice that my folders aren't open, that's why I'm not seeing it. There we go. There's a small figure that appears in the door, and it's this young girl. And you know her as Ushara. It was like, Ardeth, Mum wants to see you.
He nods and without saying a word, leaves the room.
Don't know what you did this time, but she seems pissed.
Doesn't say anything.
You see this
Keeps walking.
small figure sort of shrug in the background and continue walking in a different direction. As you make your way to a atrium-like living room with a wall that is filled with plaques. And in this living room, on one of these laying seats, basically, I'm not entirely sure how to call these kinds of sofas, is a woman in lavish dress and a bit overdressed for just being at home. And she's like, Ardeth, there you are. This is Mistress Amtithi. She's your boss, basically, when Ushev is not around.
He kind of bows respectfully.
I need you to go to the temple and withdraw Up to 50 gold pieces.
Mistress, to whom do I speak to?
You go to the temple, you go to the district of Urat, and you go find a quartermaster. One of the masters of coin, a hand of coin, an ear of coin. And you just withdraw for our family, okay? Like, it's not really that hard, Ardef. You should know this.
Yes.
Now,
yes,
go.
mistress.
And she sort of scoots you out of the room.
He humbly bows and leaves.
As you leave the room, you also realize that if you're going to withdraw anything in the name of the family, you're going to need their seal.
He kind of swears internally and goes back in.
Didn't I
Mistress,
send you away?
I require the family seal.
Right, that's true. It's not burned into your flesh, is it?
No, mistress.
Why Ushep brought you into the house I do not know. You're worthless.
He says nothing.
Tira, bring the seal. And it takes a few seconds before another person walks into the room. A woman who is branded on her shoulder actually with the mark of the house. And she walks over to the mistress and offers her the seal. She says, not me, him. And you get offered the seal.
Take it and pause a couple seconds to make sure that I'm not needed for anything else. And then get out of there.
And not a moment too late, because you notice the moment that you start waiting for a second, 2 seconds, you already see Amthethi's eyebrows sort of raised, like, what are you still doing here? And she's about to speak up the moment that you turn. And you just turn away, walk out of the room, start leaving the house. She's always like this. The moment Usheb is out of the house, she's like this. Well then, those are our characters. And now, just to calm my own nerves, we're going to take a very short break. So we'll be back in about 10 minutes, everyone. See you in 10. screen. Hello, here we are again. We are going to start again at Messie's. As you make your way into the receiving room together with your uncles, there's a few of your servants, house servants, setting up plates of food. It's not necessarily servants, they're more like slaves, but they are setting up some food, they're making sure everything is ready to receive a guest. And your uncle and aunt, they sit down at their on these sofa beds as well, so think very Greco-Roman, laying down with the grapes, that kind of situation. It's also an atrium-like room. There's an opening in the middle of the roof where the sunlight comes in, and it doesn't take too long of a wait, but for you probably longer than it should, because it's a priest and he's having you wait, and you don't even like the idea of receiving a priest in the first place. And it doesn't take remarkably long, but about 15-20 minutes wait before there's a knock at the door and one of the slaves goes up to the door to open it. And the man that enters your house at this point is Meran, and you know him to be the hand of Ramat. Ramat being one of the gods for the people at home, and Ramat is the god of air, knowledge and secrets and change. Which means that he's also the overseeing priest, not just any priest. He's a hand, so he directly answers to the high priest of Ramat. I'm sorry. I just blanked.
Okay.
He is also the branch of the temple that concerns themselves with education. And that's why he's here, to see you and your uncle and aunt. And he enters with the usual formalities. He bows, he offers something for receiving him, and the slaves sort of lead him to a place to sit as well as he lays himself down. So,
I offer my greetings.
greeting to you as well, Lady Messi. And you, Lady Aya, Jafar, good to see you again. So, and he sort of looks around to see if the servants are leaving. And some of them do, some stay in the room, some have been instructed to stay in the room as well. And once the ones that are leaving sort of left the room, he looks back to the center of the room and is like, well, here we are. Let me first of all say that the Ramar Ethi, he's very much unhappy and displeased with our current offer. He shares his sympathies with the unfortunate fact that he's trying to ban women from the priesthood and that he's coming down on the University of Ajwat so hard.
What exactly does he want?
The other voices and I keep opening and closing shit, so the other voices and Ramar Ethi have similar concerns ever he came to power. He seems to be very adamant about changing things, about getting rid of the Earth Mother's worship and her place in the Pantheon. We think he aims to eventually ban the worship of Mother Eora, which is not going to sit well with a lot of the populace. Neither will it with the rest of us, and most of the priests and the high priests highly disagree with this idea.
Trying to start a...
One would not say per se a war, but let's say that the unappreciative side of things will be outspoken at the very least, and it will lead to tensions which none of us want.
Does realize you can't make common people stop doing what they're going to do anyway. They'll just hide it if it becomes an issue. He's going to make things worse, not better.
We agree on this. And this is exactly why we... Look, this is a political issue of some sensitivity. Perhaps it would be more interesting if the rest of the slaves would leave the room.
I look at my aunt and wait for a
Ayal
response.
just looks at you like, you want me to? Okay. And Ayal just sort of snaps her fingers. Out, all of you! And you see the last few remaining, they're sort of leaving the room. And the doors are being closed behind them.
I emotionally look like my feathers have been ruffled.
As in, Ofara Mose has become a problem in the eyes of Ramar Ethi. And Ramar Ethi is quite sure that some of the other voices share his concern. Now, we are not sure.
So, are you saying we should get rid of him?
Yes.
Is that the bottom line?
He is causing...
This is a very risky proposition.
Risky to say the very least. This is a unusual and dangerous proposition, something which I wish shouldn't have to pass our lips. But he's creating division as much within the temple as in between the temple and the royal palace. And the amount of unrest...
I cannot sanction this, but I can remain neutral, and if there are funds that are needed, I can provide that discreetly, but my name and the university cannot be in it.
I was hoping
You
you
understand
would
that?
offer the university as a grounds of where we could meet and plan. Since it's a grounds where...
I can offer you a room that I can promise will be private and hidden from all view. I can offer you funds, but I cannot publicly offer you anything. I have to remain publicly neutral. As to whatever you do, you have to make sure that if there is said attempt on his life, that attempt is
in no way traceable back to your house.
successful.
That would be the most preferable.
If it is not successful, we have a larger problem.
The voices have agreed to use the upcoming festivities as a good moment to have him...
If you hit him, you have to hit him hard and get him, his aid, and any of his sympathizers. You realize this. Cutting the head off is not necessarily going to stop.
There's other priests in the ranks of the Ofar, which...
Do you have some mercenaries in particular that you trust that you can get this done with?
One of the hands, one of the ears of coin. She's spoken to one of her betters about a particular individual who might be skilled enough for this. Considering we might be able to talk to him...
I don't need to know the details. I really don't. I want to stop you here. I not want to know the details. I will provide the room. I will provide the privacy. I will provide any necessary funds that you are asking for. But as politically public, I am the soul who remains.
This is understood, and we understand and we thank you for all the help that you are giving us.
Tell me what funds you need, and I will get them to you immediately.
He produces a note from his robes and sort of hands it to you, stands up and hands it to you. This is...
I read the note and then I burn it. And then I quickly decide where the funds are coming from, and I say to him, a courier will arrive later on this afternoon. Here's the funds.
Sorry, that last thing I didn't hear from you, as
The
in you were
room will
really
be
low.
arranged by tonight. A courier will arrive later on this afternoon with the funds, and the room will be available by tonight.
Thank you.
If that is all that you need from me,
If this is all you wish to offer, then we will take this graciously. It's help we can use and will use. I realize this is
all I can offer. I want you to understand.
I understand. I do.
I
As in, I was hoping you would be inclined to our cause as to your father being a pressure on the university as well. This will be...
My personal beliefs aside, this cannot stand.
This is why we have common ground. Well, I thank you for all your help. And I thank you for your discretion. And he looks at you and your aunt and your uncle. 5-6 days times at max. And this will be over with. We promise you as much. Thank you for your time. And he makes his way back to the door and leaves. Your aunt...
I go for a servant that I know I can trust.
You call one of your guards, perhaps?
Yes, from my private
You
security.
call out... Does this guard have a particular name? Or... shall I give one?
About Cole.
Col. I'm gonna say C-O-L. Not to make it too English. So you call for Cole, who shows up in the door. Yes, Mistress Messi.
I tell him the amount of funds that I need him to pull out of the bank for me, and I tell him that who they need to go to, and that I need him to get that done immediately, within the hour.
This instance, Mistress, and he nods his head and he leaves the room again. Your aunt, sitting next to your uncle, sort of looks at your uncle and looks at you. This is not the kind of political intrigue I expected. You told me it was delicate, but this...
This is plain out murder. And if that's what needs to be done politically, I understand, but it's hard to stomach.
Well,
I will remove it.
I do see why they came to us. Your father's not been great for the university. As in, he's actively preaching to people not to send their girls to school anymore. This is something which is not helping.
He's undermining our society in the way that it has always worked. And that could cause irreparable damage to families and household generations. I know no other way. I know no other way except this plan that he has put on the table. I just pray that we have not made a terrible mistake.
We should pray on that. May the Mud keep our secrets and the Mother our souls.
I walk out, and I had formed the garden in order to be with nature because my nerves are frazzled. I have just sanctioned the death of not one person but several people, and I do not know how many. And life is precious. So I am in emotional turmoil and conflict about what I have just done.
So as Messi is walking in her gardens and overlooking the plants and the flowers and all the different greeneries, some more exotic than others, contemplating the decision that was just made in her family house, we're going to move over back to the savannah, where this Nekadon is riding up to a group of deer-like creatures, antelope, in the distance. And Tabu sort of pulls it to a stop and is like, there, off in the distance.
Squint slightly. Yeah, they sure are there.
They are. Now, get off. And she sort of starts scuffling and trying to get off the Nekadon.
I hop off as
So
gracefully as I
you
can.
scuffle off this lizard creature and she sort of follows and then she says, "What? You get in the front seat now."
What?
Get into the front seat.
Sure. I get into the front seat, and I feel like at that point the lizard would look at me, and I'd look at the lizard,
you see
and
the
we'd
lizard
both
sort
be
of head
unsure.
turn on the long neck and sort of looking straight at you with his open eyes sort of blinking the sideways way that lizards do and just staring at you like, who are you?
Right, just like
Yeah, don't spur
like
it
a donkey
yet,
with
wait,
scales,
and
right?
You sort of feel that Taboo's getting on the lizard behind you and sort of securing herself with a few straps to the saddle up behind you, and she's like, alright, make sure to really clench your thighs around it as much as you can in your calves. And as you do
clenching.
that? The moment you start clenching,
Yeah,
the Nekadon just
I
takes
feel
off.
like that's already clenched.
Roll me a
jeez. So hot swinging balls.
Roll me a strength drive, please, which we will use as your riding check.
Okay. So drive with strength.
Oh dear. You don't get very far. I'm gonna have you make me roll dexterity athletics as follows, please. Or athletics dexterity.
Athletics, dexterity, there we go.
Much better. As you get tossed out of the saddle, within the first few yards that this creature just scoots up, and you hear Taboo behind you as the lizard sort of makes its way away from you. Oh damn it! And she sort of tries to grab the reins and sort of get control of the Nekadon back. She said, I shouldn't have said that! And she pulls the reins and sort of stops the creature, turns it slowly and makes it walk back to you. As you manage to land relatively softly despite being thrown off.
Yeah, I guess it is just like a donkey with scales. Those throw me off as well.
Donkeys ride easier. Like, I should have warned you that they too tend to, This is your first time actually riding one yourself, right? Yeah.
Yes.
I should have thought this through. You know what, I'll take the lead. And she sort of scoots up on the saddle and takes the front seat again.
The best.
Up on the back.
I hop on the back, and now robes that are more brown
red
than
and
white.
brown dust cover your robes. As you get back up on the back of the Necodon, and Taboo again spurs it onwards towards this group of antelopes against the wind, until she comes at a certain distance and she sort of reins it in again, and she says, "Really low now." And she sort of tries to lay down as flat as possible in the saddle. And the Necodon just starts sort of sneaking its way towards these antelopes. Just for the fun of it, it's mainly the Necodon sneaking, but I would like a sneak dexterity from you as well, or a sneak composure. Let's make this interesting.
Let's see, where is sneak? Stealth, you mean? Is there a sneak skill?
Stealth.
I'm seeing stealth.
Yes. Sorry.
Yeah, okay, stealth and composure.
Right. Very quietly, on the back of this Necodon, sort of S-curving between the rocks, low over land, the wind in your face, making your way towards this group of antelopes that are grazing off in the distance and flanked by a giraffe or two. And you're slowly making your way closer. Getting really close at some point, and she starts whispering to you, "Do you want to try yourself first?"
Sure, what's there to
Aim for the
lose?
side of the head.
Okay, I'll try to chuck one of them spear
Alright,
thingies.
so you go to grab a javelin. Roll me a athletics strength for this.
There we go.
Check that. Ooh. 2 successes. You chuck the spear, and it goes flying towards this group of antelopes. Did you aim for anyone in particular? The
Probably
closest one?
just the closest
You see sort of all of their heads perk up, sort of change their look in your direction as the spear lands next to it in the sand, and the entire group starts taking off. And Taboo just shouts, "Shit!" and she spurs the Necodon, and you get almost thrown off again, as this lizard hops up out of the stones and just start making its way for them. Leaving the scene with Amaru again, we're going back into the city. And we're going to see Sargon, who has made his way out of the temple district, as the time is starting to get closer to night, and making his way to the, let me double check here, shouldn't be saying that out loud, but sure, the Serpent's Rest, where you plan to hire room and board, I'm gonna guess, for the night.
Would the Serpent's Rest have accommodations for Zutu, my Necodon, or am I going to have to find a communal
You're
stable
gonna have
for
to
that?
find a communal stable for that, particularly a Necodon stable, because people don't tend to like keeping them and the horses close together.
Yeah, absolutely. In that case, I think that'll be my first priority, rather than heading straight towards the Serpent's Rest, is probably finding the nearest
Alright.
communal stable. Sort of just making my way down the street, petting petting
Well, it's
Zuzu
more to
along
the edge of
horns.
sound that you actually find the
Scratching
Tooth and Claw, which is a stable particularly for Nekadon. And you go in, sort of look for one of the owners or one of the proprietors who... Ah, yes. Oh, you've been here before, by the way. Sargon, was it? And this is Zutu, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, this is him.
Magnificent beast.
Gonna be in town for a little
Perfect,
while.
perfect, absolutely.
Perhaps 2 days of stabling I can pay for.
Good, good. We'll take good care of him, and he's already sort of at the lizard's head and sort of patting it and sort of checking if it has any new wounds or anything that needs taken care of. We'll stable him right here for you. You can pick him up whenever you need. Where can we find you if something would be...
Thank you
amiss?
very much. I'm gonna be at the Serpent's Rest. If I'm not there, that means I'm more than likely, out and about. But I'll be back, so you can, of course, leave
Good.
a
That's
message with
very
you.
good to know. Right, and he sort of walks up to a small desk where he gets out some papyrus and actually starts writing out some things, and then he shoves it on a pile of them and continues to sort of stable your Nekadon Zutu as you leave the stables again.
You would see that Sargon would have to take a bit of equipment off, so he would grab... we're in the city, so he'd probably grab his sling. He already has a little bit of ammo for the sling in a small pouch that he carries with him all the time. He'd also untie and tie to his belt his cavalry copus. And he'd get his dory spear, which is a little shorter than most dories. Most dories are about 3 meters long. This one's shorter at about 2.5 meters long. If you just casually glance an eye at it. And while he's wearing most of his armor with the lunathorax and his current greaves, he would have to unstrap and strap onto the other side of his belt his transverse Corinthian helmet, which has sort of a midnight black and royal blue horsehair that goes over the crown of it. And he would grab his shield. Visually for people, it would be a Boeotian shield. Say, all right, well, that's all my stuff. If any problems arise, please feel free
Will
to
do, sir.
contact me.
Very good.
And I'm going to make my way into the streets, making my way towards the Serpent's Rest. And I'm going to keep my eye out for any local food vendors. I'm looking for something on the...
Ladies and gentlemen, we just lost Dreams for a moment.
Oh,
There we
Yeah.
go, and he's back.
yeah, Discord kicked me out and kicked me back in again
Discord
for some
gonna be
reason.
Discord.
Not sure why. Yeah, Discord's going to be Discord. But yeah, I'm going to make my way towards the Serpent's Rest and look out for any small street pastry stalls on the way.
The moment you start getting more to the center of the city where things start to be busier, it's not that hard to find food, and you're more looking for pastries at this point rather than savories. Yeah, just to make a
Yeah.
particular reference, I'm gonna say that you come across a stall with a slightly older woman that's selling cinnamon buns.
Ah, okay. All right. I see you. All right. So immediately I'd go up very excitedly. I probably come to this every time I'm in the city and every time I'm going towards this district and heading towards the Serpent Rest. There's like a 90% chance that I'll come to the stall in that case. Just to at least pick up one, maybe two. And in this case, I think I'll actually be out for the very rare 5 to go.
5 to go. Well then, are we celebrating something?
Yes. Just gonna be having a bit of a night out. Want enough snacks for.
And this night
people to be
out, would it
comfortable.
happen to be with a very special lady, perhaps, or a
Not just yet. We're getting there, though. We're getting there.
Interesting.
Perhaps in the future.
I wish you all the luck with that, as in, these will certainly help get you into her good graces, I'm sure of it. And she sort of hands you the buns.
Yes. I'll quickly hand over the money and a little bit extra. You know, I always
thank you very
appreciate her
much.
services and sometimes her humor. Well, it's good
seeing you in
again.
town as well, and she sort of winks at you as you sort of start turning away. And she just continues with the next customer. And you make your way further down the street.
Yeah, and with that, I'll make my way. Straight to the Serpent's Rest.
Go to the Serpent Rest, enter. You're just gonna book a room there for the night?
Do they... So yeah, I'll probably book myself a private room.
Private room, yes.
But I'll get a... Just in case, slightly larger bed than
With a
normal.
larger bed, he sort of looks around you, not seeing anyone else enter. He's like, oh, right, yes, I guess I understand. And he just sort of writes something down and, right, here's your key, sir. Would be the room up the stairs,
Thank you.
third one on the right.
Third one on the right, gotcha. Very well. Plans for dinner, what are we having tonight?
Shieldback stew, I believe, today. Not it? Is it shieldback stew today?
Okay, interesting.
You hear something coming from the... Yep! Hi,
Hey,
Sargon! Good.
How you
We're
doing?
cooking.
Alright, remember to put, you know, a little extra spice on mine.
Will do. Yeah, coming from the...
Thank you.
So, room booked. You have your place at the inn.
Yeah, I think I'd make my way up to my room. Sort of all those things that I pulled off of Zutu, I'd put most of them back. I keep the cavalry copus with me, and yeah, then I'd be off to the streets to go see what's interesting, what's fascinating, if there are any street performers out, until an appropriate time that I think Issa would make her way to the
So you
Serpent's
go
Rest.
out into the city, go find the streets, which are busy with life at the moment. The early night is sort of bringing the city alive, people coming back from their fields and from work, and starting to live. A lot of eating is going on. There's a lot of chairs in the streets and a lot of tables at the sides of the street, and a lot of people tend to sit outside while eating, talking to their neighbors, making conversations. And while making your way to the street, roll me a, I think it's awareness in this particular case, because we have nothing else, plus perception, which could be wits. Let me double check that. 0 successes. You make your way down the street and basically probably socializing with some of the people that you recognize, talking a bit here and there, perhaps eating something along the way as well before actual dinner. Ardeth, I'm going to switch to you. As you are making your way down the streets towards the Ziggurat and the Temple District, yeah, roll me a, what are we going to do for this? Yeah, I'm going to ask the same roll of you, awareness, wits.
Awareness wits. Second, will I find it? Awareness. Wits.
There's a lot of dice. Damn. Yeah, you managed to. You were sort of lost in thought, thinking back on your situation in the House of Usheb and the whole situation with his wife and her being such a fucking bitch to you, like all the time. Just at the very last moment, you almost bump into someone, grazing shoulders, but you just notice on time to sort of step aside. And Sargon, you also notice that someone's just sidestepping away from you before they hit you.
Sorry. Keeps going.
I've seen you before. Hmm?
What?
A long time ago, and weren't you once in the fighting pits, huh?
Oh, you remember that then?
I remember every good fighter.
Oh, thank you. You're very kind.
Also,
Keep
are
his
there...
head down.
Did you look
you
up
don't
any
have to-
second to actually see this man?
Just a bit, yeah. He looks up just to see.
This man is
and then looks down
stunning
again.
as well.
He looks up again.
Oh well, it's good to know that you are not also just in the arenas. I don't see a brand though, so a free man.
A fairly recent development, yes.
Good.
Yes. I haven't been in the pits for a while.
Huh. Interesting. Fascinating. I was actually going to head to the pits later on tonight. If you're around, feel free to look for me.
If I can, yeah. I might head down there tonight.
Have you eaten recently?
Up to
Have
you.
I eaten recently? No. I'm actually on an errand for my boss.
I see. Well, a little bit of a snack while you're on your errand. I bought a few extra, and I'll hand over one of the cinnamon buns.
Oh. Thank you very much.
So,
Look very confused that somebody is showing him any kind of kindness.
hopefully we'll run into each other in the future. Have a pleasant evening.
And you.
And I
And
continue
Sargon
along
continues
my way.
on his way. We're gonna follow Ardeth towards the Temple District. Once you arrive at the Temple District, go to the gates of the inner courtyards, make your way to Urat's district within it. It doesn't take remarkably long before you find in the district of Urat this one particular building that is slightly bigger than the rest, and there's like out front an open area between the pillars with a counter. And behind that counter is a woman currently counting coins.
Yeah, I go up to her. Wait for a sort of moment where they're not.
Be with
Busy.
you in a second, and that is 95. Yes, how can I help you?
Here's a family seal. The family wants me to withdraw 50 gold for them.
50 golden pieces on the family of... This is Usheb's seal. I see, not seen you here before. Are you one of his regulars?
A servant of
Alright.
their family.
Oh, you have the seal, so that should be fine. Give me a moment. And she sort of takes the coins that she was counting from the counter and sort of shoves them in the bag and walks inside with them. And she stays in there for a short while. Then she comes out again. This would be Usheb's, and there you go. Hand me the seal, please. So she takes the seal, takes a papyrus piece that she's written down, puts the seal in ink and just stamps it on the papyrus. then gives it back to you. Well, can I do anything else for you?
No, thank you. Have
Good
a
evening
pleasant
to you
evening.
as well. And as you sort of start walking away from the vault, we also see two figures walking up, just as you're starting to leave. One of these figures being Elalu, and the other one is... let me double check again, because names, a lot of names, I did it to myself. Baru. Next to you is Baru, as you're both making your way to the vault as well. And he's saying, I'm sure that the temple wants to cover this. This is for the ceremony, so it would be our honor to provide your dress. I think you've frozen.
I can mark it off.
I think you were frozen.
Hello?
I can hear you now, yes.
Can you hear me now, though? That's really generous, but I can mark
I
it off.
insist that that is not needed. As in, this ceremony happens only once a year, and for me it's particularly special, so I even want to put in some of my own money.
Then let me help with any errands when you're busy practicing.
Fine, you can help with the errands.
Please.
As at
Yeah.
that moment you cross paths with Ardeth, who just sort of makes his way to the side as well when you pass him.
He takes up a lot of presents.
A standout man as well, Ilalo, as in we know him in the form of a stunning.
She'll do more than a double take and kind of she'll scoot out the way, but you know, her head kind of doing more than a 10.
He kind of gives a bow of the head and a small smile.
As this is happening, on the background you hear the woman that's at the counter call out, "Ah, Baru, there you are. So, you had something special planned?" And Baru replies with that, "Indeed. Could you please get me that thing that I asked you for?" And she sort of nods and makes her way into the vault. So, as said, this is a special occasion. And she eventually comes back out and hands a bag of coin to Baru. Now, before it's completely dark, let us go into the city, find a tailor that you like, and get this done.
I think I know just the person. And she'll take his arm quite happily.
He just lets you lead on. As this is happening, I am going to quickly check on something. Yeah, you guys make your way into town. The trade district is not too far from the southern gate of the temple courtyards. And you make your way into the streets where it's slightly busier. Between the stalls of the different traders and purveyors of goods and services. Ardeth, you headed straight back for the house?
Well, I'm going to eat my cinnamon roll on the way in such a way that she's not got any possibility of catching it because she's probably a bitch about it.
So you make sure to eat it along the way or sit down somewhere for a few minutes and eat it before you are on your way back to the house of Asheb. Or am I now? Let me double check. Usheb, sorry, not Asheb, Usheb. And you make your way back to the house. When arriving at the door, You start opening the door of the front of the house, and inside you already hear screaming. As Umthithi is just shouting at Ushab. As in, you should have never spent a single coin on that man. He's not worth it. And you hear Ushab going in some kind of defense, but you know he's not going to win this because Umthithi is just going at it. And this might be a really bad time for you to just go inside. You feel.
I sort of hang around at the door a bit and kind of like open it a little bit, hear the screaming, close it so there's silence, open it a little bit, close it. And I kind of amuse myself with that for a little bit.
As you amuse yourself with that for
and
a
then
while,
I sort of just
you open it, you close it, and open it and close it, and suddenly, when you open it again, you see like eyes looking up at you from the inside.
I sort of raise an eyebrow.
You see this younger girl's face sort of shaking, like, how old are you anyway?
Do you do you mean
Kind of.
up here?
Like,
Or-
open, close, open, close. You're like a cat, you don't know what you want.
I have to find amusement
Yeah, I
somehow.
guess so. Just open it up. And she steps outside next to you. Sits on the stairs.
So, what's got
Ah,
her
you
knickers
again.
in a twist this time?
Honestly, what did you actually do to her?
How old is this
Probably
girl?
about 12 something.
You're a bit too young to understand.
Okay. Does that mean you fucked my dad? Because usually when adults
Yeah,
say that, it means they are talking about...
He kind of sighs and says, "Where did you learn about that
I don't
sort
know.
of thing?"
Yes.
You hear me?
She shrugged and said, I don't know. Oh, sorry.
Oh, right, I didn't hear you. That was what. Oh. Right. Does that anger you?
I don't know why it would.
Well, then you're more enlightened than your mother is.
Okay. Yeah, Mum tends to be a bit stuck up bitch sometimes, but I mean, guess it comes with the whole position and stuff. If still
Open
going.
the door up a little bit. Is there still? Yeah.
If it's any consolation, she also thinks that I'm not living up to my potential.
Sit down on the stairs next to her. What is your potential according
She
to her?
thinks I should come home with better grades from the university. But yeah. I don't necessarily like most of the classes. Like the whole math thing, it's not for me.
Numbers tend to make me angry.
Yeah, me
pretty
too.
Quickly. Yeah. What classes do you enjoy?
Yeah. Honestly, I would prefer not to be in the girls' classes. As in, all fine knowing how to read and write and how to count and how to do math, but I would prefer to work with my hands, but Mum really hates the idea of that. Like, it's not a woman's place to work with one's hands, she says.
Well, As I said, you're more enlightened than your mother is.
Yeah, I do think a whole lot of people might be. You know, over the last year, she's really become almost a different person. I don't like her this way. She's become mean.
When did that start?
Around the same time... Oh. And she just looks at you.
He kind of nods, looking a bit guilty.
Well, if anything, it's not really your fault, it's Dad's fault, isn't it?
When a person comes to you with the opportunity to buy your freedom for you, one doesn't really think about the consequences of such a decision.
I guess I can get that. I guess. I don't know. There's a lot of people who sell themselves into slavery to pay off debt. And you were in slavery to pay off debt? Or how did you get... You're from further up north, right?
I'm from a land quite far away from here. I was captured. Series of
So you
bad luck.
so you never
bad
chose to become a slave? I guess it makes sense
did
then that you
not.
might not want to be one.
Precisely.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure things will eventually turn out fine. As in, you're free now, right? Like, you could... Why actually always staying with us when you're free?
Where would I go?
I don't know, find a place to live.
Such things require money.
Right. You don't have another job then?
No. If I'd have known that my freedom would simply just mean having another master, I probably wouldn't have taken up on
Have
the
you
offer.
tried talking to Dad about that?
He's very persuasive.
And just sort of looks at you... She looks at you squinting like... Now I don't really get what you're at. Anyway. Would you be okay with smuggling me out of the house tonight, or are you afraid that Mum's really gonna kill you?
What
I don't
is
know.
your plan?
I want to see more of the city at night. I've never been in the city at night.
It's a bit dangerous for young girls to
Yeah, that's
go
why I'm asking you.
alone.
You're big and strong and,
Alright then.
well, have muscles still.
Alright, well, sure. I don't think it's possible for her to get any more angry at me than
Right.
she already is. And, well, we might as well have fun. I actually plan on going to the pits
That's where
tonight.
Dad got you, right?
It was, yes.
Going back there, isn't that strange?
There's a part of me that misses
Okay.
it.
Sure. I've not seen them before, and Dad thinks it's a bit too much for me, but yeah, I would like to see.
If you get uncomfortable, we can leave early.
Deal. And she sort of holds her hand open out to you. She shakes it
shake
firmly. Alright. Let's check if the fight is still going, and she carefully opens the door. It doesn't take her 2 seconds to close it again. She sits down. So, about, and there we're gonna cut this scene. And we're gonna cut back to the trade market and the places of purveying services and goods, as two very weary-looking individuals make their way down the street on the back of a Necadon. One in priestly robes which are foul beyond recognition, and especially the one in the front, Taboo, is a bit sour looking, like the pressure of failure seems to be drooping her shoulders a bit. I was really hoped that this hunt would be more successful. I really wanted you to bag your first bigger creature than a fucking rabbit.
I think you misunderstand the reason why I like going on hunts with you.
Do I? What?
It's not the prey I'm looking forward to seeing, it's you.
Oh. She sort of looks half around to her back, and she seems to be turning slightly red at that. I had no idea. Wait, what do you mean exactly?
I'd like spending time with you. You're a good friend.
Yeah, thanks. And she sort of turns back forward with her face sort of paying attention to the roads and just goes silent for a little. Roll me an insight wits check, maybe.
Yeah, like if she like turns and becomes silent, I'm gonna probably like just follow
Insight
suit.
wits.
Insight with wits. There we go.
She seems to have, she seems to be thinking right now that you have feelings for her. Like, she comes across like this is awkward.
I'm wondering if... No, I don't think Amina would say anything. I think they are far too awkward to say anything. In their mind, they're like, she's gonna get it over time that it's not that, right?
Who knows? As you are riding up down these streets in the direction of the temple, suddenly a voice comes from one of the people on the side of the street. And you recognize this person to be a priest of Manat named Baru, and next to him is a girl that you've seen at the temple before, particularly in the district of Manat. And she has been dancing at some of the ceremonies and some of the sermons. And you hear Baru shout at you, Amiru, is that you?
Oh, yes, hello.
Oh, by the
yes,
five.
hello. A bit
By
untidy
the five,
at the
what happened
moment.
to you?
Hunting. Hunting.
You look like you were dragged through the dust.
You aren't entirely wrong. You aren't entirely wrong.
And this is... And he sort of opens his hand at Taboo on the back of the Necadon.
Well, this is Tabu. It's she hunts.
Oh, you're the woman that lives at the edge of town, yes? He asks Taboo, and Taboo's just nods. Oh, good to meet you. I don't think I've seen you before. But I've heard your name being spoken. Anyway, Amaru. What do you say you come with us for a bit?
Yes. I don't mind. You'll have to excuse me, Tabu.
No, that's absolutely fine. I should get this one to the stable anyway, and she pets the Necadon as you sort of make your way off it.
Yeah, I climb off of the scaly donkey.
Scaly donkey.
Yeah, it's fine.
And, Baru just waves goodbye at Tabu as she sort of waves at you and rides off into the distance. Ilalu, this is Ameru. He's one of the current eyes under the guidance of Ofat.
It's nice to meet you. And she'll go into far too deep a curtsy, but she generally does look pretty excited.
Amiru does just like a bow that is just deep enough to be more respectful than it should probably towards someone who's not a priest.
Amaru here is gonna dance for me on the 11th during the ceremony. I'll have her carry our graces and our prayers to the gods herself. As he proudly looks at you, Ilana.
Well, it is always good to have more dancers in dancing within the halls.
And particularly at the festivities of the blessings of Manat and Urat. Which, by the way, you happen to know is also in 5-ish days. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, the 5th day from now is the 11th of this month, Manaru. So this is a festival which is dedicated to Manat, the god of water, and Urat, the god of earth, as their combined blessings used to flood the river that you live next to. Arthas being on the border of the Manu River. They used to flood, according to the stories, every year around that time. They haven't for a long time, but the ritual and the ceremonies around it are still held in the honor of the gods and in honor of the upcoming season of planting new crops and hopefully a bountiful harvest. So it is considered a rather important holiday.
Is there anything? Is there anything that needs preparations? Anything you can keep me busy with?
If I would be allowed to borrow you from the Ofar and the heirs of Ofat, then yes, absolutely, you could help us. You would be most welcome to.
I will speak to my superiors and make sure that I am
Thank you very
available.
much, and that would be greatly appreciated. As for Elalu here, well, we're going to look into a dress particularly for the ceremony. I personally was thinking, and he just looks at Elalu and is like, correct me here if you feel like this would be inappropriate, but the Oracle has a headdress made of peacock feathers. And I was thinking of letting us be inspired by that.
That sounds phenomenal, but I don't think that's overreaching. I mean, I do
No.
trust your judgment.
This is all in the eyes of the gods. It's in their honor, so they won't mind. They will love it. I'm sure of it.
Then I'm sure everyone else will love it too. And then she'll look on over. Oh, I just love how these festivities brings everyone
They
closer
do, and
together.
I hope they will this year as well.
It's really exciting.
I really do hope so. And you can tell at that point that he's not entirely sure of the whole bringing people together. Amaru, you're also well aware of this, and Ilala, you would also have noticed, but the tensions in the temple over the last 2 years have been slowly growing. As the high priest of Ofat, the Ofar, which is your highest superior, Amaru, who also is like the head of all the 5 high priests, he's been pushing new policies and agendas in ways that a lot of the priesthood are not agreeing with. He also has followers who are agreeing with some of his ideas and his more extreme changes, but yeah, female priests have been having a really hard time, particularly if they were from higher station, and it seems like not a single eye under the temple has been raised to an ear ever since he's been in power. So yeah, he's dividing the people, both in the temple and possibly outside, as in you feel. Ilalu, you have potentially got a place in mind where they can make your dress. You lead everyone here?
Yeah, lead everyone to she's a Situ, she says, trying to remember what name I gave them, yeah, to
Alright.
Situ's shop.
So you lead them to, and just to double check, Cthulhu the seamstress, who sees you arriving and is like, Ilalu dear, oh, you brought visitors.
Yes, I did. I don't mind. In fact, I think you will be really
Do tell,
eager for
please,
this.
come in, and she sort of gestures you all inside.
I
Actually-
apologize profusely for the amount of mess I'll
Oh, no,
probably make.
wait, one moment.
Due to
Stay
being dragged
here
through the
outside the
ground.
door, one moment, and she goes back in, and she brings out like a reed weaved mat of some sort, a short mat, and before she allows you in, she's like, just up your arms and make a bit of a turn, and she just starts slapping the dust off you.
Oh, thank you.
This should do
Thank you
nicely.
very much.
Ali, come in. And she gestures you inside as well. What can I help you with there?
Ali will look over to Baru since it's his idea. She's quite excited for him to.
Baru nods and
Explain
he looks
it
at the seamstress. Well, the temple has a commission for you, and it seems that Ilalu has chosen you as her seamstress. So it is up to you to make a dress for an upcoming ceremony. And he starts going into the explanation. As he does, we're going to cut away to the Serpent's Rest, where Sargon is at. As the night sort of progresses, Sargon, you are waiting at the Serpent's Rest for... There's a long list of names. Isa, yes.
Waiting for Isa.
Isarutun. And it doesn't take very long for her once the night has fallen to arrive, and she's like, Sargon, I finally got
Isa,
away
how
from
you
the
doing?
vault. Don't get me started on some of the other ears that have their responsibilities there, as in they are late for their shifts. And I'm not liking it. I need a drink. Do we have anywhere to drink?
Does this place
No,
serve?
this would be the
alcoholic
inn, so they
beverages,
don't
or do we
have
to go somewhere else?
they don't have a drinking hall or a drink space here. This is purely room and board.
I feel I'd be a little familiar with the area. So where's like the nearest actual
Alright,
establishment where
you-
we can get something that's gonna give us a bit of a buzz, but not get us too.
Alright.
You know,
You were
messed up.
thinking of going in the direction of the pits, correct? Alright.
Yes.
Open this. Along the way to the pits, there is the Banner House. And the Banner House is a drinking hall which is generally also used by a lot of the soldiers and the military of Arthas. So you know a lot of the regulars here.
Interesting. So at the Banner House, would I probably normally run into not Bao, Nabu?
Does hang here every once in a while. If he's not on shift, he is one of the people that you might find there.
So I'll suggest we go there.
Alright.
Yeah, we can make our way to the Banner House. It's a bit more militaristic than usually people like, but it's convenient. It has good alcohol. And it'll be great to pick up
The
something.
latter is all I
on our
asked
way.
for, so let's go, she says, and she just starts walking in the direction.
Okay. I will lead the way, graciously opening up any doors in her path.
Thank you, as she steps inside.
And go ahead and hand her one of the
Oh, thank you.
one of the pastries. Went ahead and picked this up
Oh,
for
that
you.
smells
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Let's drink and eat something, she says, and makes her way in.
Yes.
As in, when you come in, the place is kind of busy, filled with more military types in general. Yeah, you find yourself a place to sit, order a few drinks, and as we do, I'm gonna call for another break of about 10 minutes, if everyone's alright with that. So everyone, thank you for joining, and see you in 10 minutes. Adios.
Let's do this.
And we are back, everyone. At least I intended to be back. I do think we're all frozen. There we go. This should help. If I'm not mistaken. No, it doesn't. Okay, this helps. Right, we're back. Sorry about this. Still finding out a lot of crap on how this all works. Anyway, evening has fallen. Sargon and Isa have made their way to the banner hall, the banner house, which is like this military drinking hall / pub, if we can call it that. Little detail for everyone else, a bit of information about the world and the city of Arthis, is that inns and drinking houses are two separate entities or things. Inns are really considered hospitals or sleeping places where they do provide food for the people staying there, but not in the way a restaurant would. And drinking is also not exactly encouraged since it's a place to rest and sleep. Whereas drinking houses are really the place to go when you want to drink, or the more restaurant-like place. Also a bit of information for the people looking. The temple has indeed got some unusual names for their priests. The high priests are the voices representing the gods. Under them are the... Let me double check that I'm not lying to anyone, because I've got all of this written down. Of course I do. Sorry. Under them are the hands who operate for them. Under those are the ears, who are the ears to the people, who deal with the people. And under those are the eyes, who learn from the ears and above how everything works. And underneath the eyes there's also the layer of the legs. And the legs of the temple are the slaves who are employed by the temple. They also have a modicum of respect among the populace because they work for the temple, of course. There you go, that is that information out of the way. So, bringing us back to the game. Night having fallen, Sargon being in the banner house. We're going to first have a bit of a look-see around where Ardeth is staying. Ardeth, you have a very eager early teen who wants to explore the town at night against the wishes of Mistress Amtiti. So yeah, how are you planning to go about this?
Kind of assumed that that Ushara and Ardeth might have come up with some kind of arrangement plan. Maybe he meets him in his room and they go out the window or something like that. I don't know.
I can tell Mother that I'm not feeling well and that I'm going to bed for the night. Is that an idea? 'Cause I don't want to miss school tomorrow. Probably.
Do you think that would work?
Alright.
Alright then.
So plans are forged and made, and yeah. The night falls and it's time for the two of you to make your way out of your window. I would like you to make me a stealth dexterity check, please.
Sure. I'm going to talk to her first, though. I'm going to kneel on the floor to get to her eye level, and I'm going to say, so if you're coming out with me, then first, I need to insist on some ground rules.
Always with the rules, you adults.
It's for the safety.
Sure, lay it on me.
The first rule is you stick with me at all times. You have to, at the very least, make sure that I can see you.
Right, do I need to bring a leash?
No, it's just so that nobody's gonna snatch you out of my
Why would
care
anyone want to
when I'm not
snatch me?
looking. You are a young woman, and there are a lot of desperate men in town.
That sounds nasty. Yeah, I'll stick near to you.
That is a good idea. Secondly, if the worst should happen, scream as loud as you
Alright,
can.
so if some freak
I'll come running.
grabs me, I scream. Seems fair.
Precisely.
And appropriate.
If anything like that were to ever happen, no matter what I tell you, if I tell you to run, if I tell you to hide, you do it. Understood?
It's good.
Fantastic. Now, let us have some fun.
Stealth
dexterity.
please, to make your way out of the window.
Oh god, I'm not good at this.
Five successes.
What?
That's a lot. So you climb out of the window, and you sort of lower yourself, just drop yourself on the ground, and not a sound. And then behind you, Ushara is trying to follow you and sort of stumbling out of the window, and at the last moment she falls. As you try to catch her, but with that roll of 5 successes, you just catch her and you just swing around and put her on her feet, and she's like, okay, that was scary, but we're out. Okay, let's go. And she just starts making her way down the street before you've even realised that you've put her on the ground properly.
I'm gonna try and grab
Oh,
her.
right, stay close. Oh, hold out, sure.
What?
Let's get out of here before Mum notices.
Yes. I'm gonna like stick to the shadowy parts.
Alright. You stick to the more shadowy part of the streets, and you start making your way to the streets in the direction of the pits. As you do, I'm gonna go over to Messy's house. You've been in your garden for a big part of your day trying to calm down from the whole thing that is happening, and there's sort of the situation that is developing around you, which you don't like whatsoever. But desperate times, desperate measures. What is Messy up to at home? Would she have any plans for the night?
Messy is going to after her commune with nature, decide that she is going to try to go out. So she is going to get dressed and head out into the city to see what the populace is doing and see what she can do about finding out what the people are generally talking about. Almost in a way to be undercover, putting her ear to the ground.
Alright, that's a very interesting one. As you leave your house, I would like you to make an awareness wits check, please. Difficulty is going to be 5.
Okay.
Like the amount of successes needed, that is.
Okay, so that's wits. And awareness. Okay, let me do the opposite.
Awareness wits, yeah, the
awareness.
System is a bit finicky sometimes.
Wits. And difficulty is 5.
Yeah, there's no set difficulty, but I'll need 5 successes from that. Oof, 3 successes. Like, you're making your way out of your house, and for half a second you swear you might have seen something, but there's nothing there. And you just make your way down the street towards the more busy district. The busier districts where life might be had at night. And you do know that around this time of night that there's a lot of activity at the pits, but also in the trade district. At the local bars, more than likely, like the drinking places and the drinking houses. Which would have your preference?
Okay, head towards a drinking house.
Closest
What's
one
the closest
to you?
one to me?
Let me double check that. Just in case. You're gonna have a map at some point from me. I had the unfortunate bad luck that Wonder Draft didn't agree with my save file anymore. different save files. I'm trying to fix that, but it's not very easy. Oh, come on. Yes. In your case, it's going to be the Scorpion Spirit.
Okay. Alright, so I go to the Scorpion Spirit.
Alright. So you enter the Scorpion Spirit. This drinking place is more on the border between the trade district and the more rich houses. Which means that there's a very mixed clientele here, a more upper class clientele and a more lower class clientele coming in. And you do know that there's a lot of use of opiates in the back of this particular place. And entering just in the front is a place where you can already smell this. Besides that, you do know that the smell is mixed in with the smell of sex, because a whole lot of other stuff is also going on quite shamelessly in this particular establishment.
Okay, so I'm going to look around and see if I can listen into a few
Alright.
conversations.
So I'm going to assume you stay more in the front of the place, where things are slightly more timid and slightly more restrained. To the... how to call that? Like, public decency, slightly more. And there's different tables, low tables, where people sit on the ground around these low tables where they're drinking that kind of thing, and you sort of just find yourself a spot somewhere in between some people, somewhere on an empty table where you can overhear the tables next to you, and you start listening in. Roll me a, I'm gonna say, let's make this an insight wits, I'm gonna call for. Or if you
What
want
difficulty?
investigation wits, I'm gonna say difficulty 3. Nice. You start overhearing the conversations left and right of you, and you do notice that currently amongst a lot of the populace there is the concern of eclipse-wise, every eclipse, every year, the harvest starting to die out. You overhear that that some of them worry about the OFAT not being the right OFAT, and that his methods are the cause of this. Whereas on another table, you hear the complete opposite, where they say that the OFAT might be right, that the people are currently too impious and therefore don't deserve the flood that used to happen. The gods are unhappy because of the people, and the OFAT is trying to correct this. So from your initial hearings and sitting around for an hour and sort of listening, then standing up, going to sit somewhere else and listening in again, there's like different opinions about it, but the OFA always seems to be at the center of it. The current high priest the OFA, so the current high priest of OFAT is always at the center of it. Like, the worry is that you might have a year of hunger in the upcoming year if the harvest fails too much.
I'm going to see if there's a card game that I can enter into. Just game of chance. And see if I can get any more information from what's going on and out
So
in
you
the
stand up
streets.
again. How did you dress up for going outside? Did you take some more common, normal, like clothes? Did you do something more rich with your clothing?
I purposely dressed down, so I'm wearing more common clothing and trying to blend in.
You're
with
pulling that off
populace.
quite well. I would like you to roll me a streetwise manipulation, however, to see how you carry yourself.
Okay. What difficulty?
I'm gonna say 2. Everyday task, kind of thing. You do get the odd glance every once in a while as you are in the front of the bar where there's with these people, as most of the ones sitting here seem to be of the poorer, well, not necessarily poorer, but of a more modest income. And some of them do seem to every once in a while be eyeing you like, do I know this woman from somewhere, don't I? Some others might be eyeing you with a different purpose, that you're also like, freak, go away. But you do know that this kind of establishment does tend to have that sort of intention in the back, so you try to just be like as clear as you can when staring them down, like, no. You find one of the tables where people are playing some sort of dice game, because you want something that more than 2 people can play, I'm gonna assume. So there's a table where they play dice. You sitting in on this one? You're just gonna watch?
Yeah.
Take a seat. Alright.
I sit down.
How much do you want to bet? And as he just starts going over this, you can just put down some coin. I'm gonna assume that you probably do. Alright, people.
Yeah.
Ready your dices. Roll me a with streetwise for this as well. Just gonna see how many successes you have.
And what is the
no difficulty, opposed to a few other players.
So just with streetwise, no difficulty?
2 people of the 4 people that you're sitting with and part of now get knocked out of that game really early on, and then 2 of you remain rolling against one another until eventually you basically start gaining wins. Over the course of the game that you're now currently playing, what do you want to ask? Anything particular? Are you hearing them out on certain things? Having small talk during the game?
I'm just gonna make it small talk about the harvest and the crops, and wondering about the amount of rain we've been having.
Well, rain has been as rare as usual. Hardly any. But yeah, it's like the land is just exhausted of. New crops seem to have a harder and harder time living up to. We really, really need the upcoming ceremony to be a great success. With some luck, the gods will provide us with another flood. I think the land could really use that.
So who's in charge of this year's ceremony?
No idea, probably one of the priests of Manato Rurat. Usually is one of them.
I've been hearing things about who fought lately.
The Ofar, you mean? And Mose? Don't get me started on that one. I think he's the cause of all this. Another one at the table like, what do you mean? He's actually trying to rectify this.
A lot of different
Yeah, you can say
opinions
that
going
again.
around. I guess we'll see what we see when the ceremony happens.
I guess indeed, as you see these 2 sort of glaring at each other, having different opinions. Might be better not to continue broaching this subject, perhaps.
Well, we all gotta live.
Certainly do. And the one that that mentioned that he thinks that the Ofar is the cause of this, he sort of rolls his dice again. And roll your dice. So roll me another wits streetwise for this.
What
You're going to
difficulty?
have to beat only one because he rolled really poorly on this one. Four successes. Fantastic. You roll the maximum amount that you can roll for this particular game, and you just bring in all the winnings, and you see the other one just going, yes, indeed, we all need to live. And he just stands up and just walks away from the table.
I buy
You
everyone
hear like a
around
general
drinks
cheer go through the drinking room, and
with my winnings.
rounds are being divided amongst the people, and you pay off the debt with your winnings. What do you do next?
I discreetly excuse myself and head out to the street to find out what the people are doing, where they're
Alright.
going.
You do notice that a large amount of the people are currently headed towards the pits from here. As in, if you follow the crowd a bit.
So I
Right.
head towards
So
the pit.
as Messi also makes her way towards the pits, Ardeth, you and Ushara are also in that direction and way ahead of Messi, and you also hear a few things going on here and there, as in some people seem excited about something.
I'm trying to listen in and find out what
Oh,
people
they
are
got
actually
an old
excited
one,
about.
so they've acquired an old one. And they're gonna fight it to the death.
Do I know anything about old
the
ones?
slang of the pits, an old one means an old rhinoceros that is past its prime.
Oh, right. I kind of grimace a little bit at this news, and
It tends to be spectacular and deadly.
yeah, and I lean in to Ashara and I say, "This is going to be quite brutal. They're going to be fighting a rhinoceros.
Cool, yeah, I
Are you
wanna
sure
see
you
that."
want to see this?" All right. Just don't want you having nightmares because of me.
Why would I have nightmares because of you? You're like nice to me, so
No, I was the one that agreed to this arrangement, and well, I don't really care what your mother thinks of me. I wouldn't want to see the look of betrayal on your father's
we'll be
face.
fine. She says as she's sort of eager to see which direction you're going.
All right. How tall is she?
Probably somewhere up to like your stomach height somewhere. Not terribly tall.
Hey, do you want on my shoulders?
And she climbs
Alright, come
on
here.
top of your shoulders and just sits out above the crowd as you're making your way towards the pits and towards the larger one. Meanwhile, in the banner house. So yeah, I'm telling you, priesthood, I really should have reconsidered.
Yeah, but, you know, it was a
Yeah.
family deal, you know. I understand why you got
Mum and Dad were both in it, and now am I. Well, it's not the worst thing, as in I've got proper room and board above my head, all in the temple, that kind of stuff, but I sometimes do wonder how things would have turned out if I hadn't grown up in the temple.
Well, hey, you're pretty good with coin, obviously. And I know a couple merchants. So if you want to branch out, try something new.
You know, I might try that on the side, see what it brings.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I'll get you in contact with a few people, yeah. I've got a good friend, Bao. She's usually a bit of a fishmonger, but that's sort of changed over the years. She's been dealing with pearls as
it's
of
quite an
recent.
upgrade from fish.
Yeah. Well, some of the divers have been getting a little risky.
And this is happening in the Gulf or the inland sea?
Happening, I believe.
Probably the Gulf.
Out of character. In the Gulf, right? Yeah.
Oh, that's so
Yeah, it's
far
been
away.
happening in the Gulf. I know. But you know, it's only to Narep.
Yeah, that's not the furthest.
Which is
like, you
horrible.
don't have to cross any of the ridges there, so yeah. Go by the water, just go to the opening of the river, and yeah, the rep is not that far.
Already you're there. Yeah. Hey,
yeah,
you could even take a boat
it's
ride.
probably faster than overland, I would imagine. Like, should...
Yeah, usually it is, yeah.
Anyway, I've got a buzz going. Should we go and see if we can try our luck at the pits, or should we look for this friend of yours?
Yep.
You've not seen
I
him
kind
all
of look
night.
around. Ah! He'll be fine.
Right, pits it
Come on.
is. So,
Yeah. Kind of dust my hands off, and I'm assuming we're like eating on trenchers or something like that. So.
clap your hands clean. She does the same. You stand up and you sort of start making your way out of the banner house and towards the pits. And there's quite a flow of people going in that direction, as in you've got the impression that something particular special is going on tonight. Same as Ardeth and the rumours, you sort of quickly enough pick up that they've got a rhinoceros that is past its prime. And they're probably going to pit it against convicted people who are committed to death. Going to be committed to death.
Ooh. Oh. Interesting. All right. Wait, it's not Blackhoof, is it? I asked one of the.
No, not one of the regulars. It's an old one that they got from the field that is... they're not strong enough to pull the,
Oh, okay. Okay.
the plow anymore, and they figure it's still strong enough for an execution, so
Well, this will be
it's
interesting.
gonna be messy.
So what do we got on our hand if they take it
If
down?
they
They get
survive,
freedom?
they will get freedom. Imagine they would.
Hell yeah! I get a little too excited for this, and probably noticeable by Asa. But yeah, I'd look through my coin purse, see what I got on me. I'll wait till we get to the pit to put down any wagers, but
Alright.
this ought to be interesting.
So,
Well,
Oh,
am I aware
Right.
that there's probably
yeah,
executions
you
happening
assume
today?
as much.
Okay.
It's likely.
Okay. I'm gonna warn Ashara that she's probably gonna see death. Is
I
that
want to see
still
them fight
okay?
the rhino.
He doesn't know whether to be like, is she aware of what she's about to
roll
see,
me an
or
insight-
like, I mean,
insight
if she
wits
is,
on
I'm
that.
impressed, kind of thing.
Yeah, cool.
I'm gonna
Oh,
say
shit,
the
yeah, cool.
difficulty is not gonna be that hard. It's about 2. Well, let's say 1. It's not that difficult.
Insight wits. Difficulty 1.
She's ready for this.
Oh,
She's really
Yeah.
excited. That much you do catch. So, 3 of you are making your way through this massive central pit, where some form of spectacle is about to happen. And right before that, we're going to switch over back to the house of the seamstress, who seems really impressed with... This is gonna be a work of art. Ilalu, do you feel like working on this with me together? Perhaps.
please. I'd love to work on those like, half-loop stitches and stuff you're going on about. I love
Here
it.
is the question, and she looks at Baru and Aleru. Peacock feathers are one thing, but could I combine them with white peacock feathers? Is that allowed? Baru just sort of thinks to himself for a second. Miria, do you have any reply to that?
No, I mean, I'm here as an eye, so as an eye, I'm there to watch the older
Roll me
priest
a,
and learn.
religion is not a thing in this, so occult, I'm gonna guess occult intelligence.
Cult, and there we go.
How many successes did you have? White peacock feathers are particularly the symbol of the Oracle of Ophat. You realize as much.
Well, unless I'm asked, I don't think it's probably my place to speak.
Baru
So-
says, I would actually like that, but... And he looks at you, he's like, I don't think... Do you think... No, let's keep it with the normal peacock feathers, shall we?
Yes, I think the current Ophat,
Take
Ophat might.
offense, and you see Baru sort of
He's like
rolling his
opposed.
eyes as he says it. Oh, that man. Sorry, I don't mean to speak ill of our high priest and of the Ophat, but of the Ofar. No, but yes, you are right. The Ofar would not be happy if we did that, so let's not take the risk. It would, however, make a bold statement of the priesthood not entirely agreeing, which I would have to discuss with some other people. Perhaps. You know what? We'll keep that on a low fire. I'll talk to the other priests, see if they want to make a statement to the Ofar, and if they do, we will.
What would make the Ofar happy, according to you both?
Good question. Probably would prefer if you didn't dance at the ceremony, which I think is preposterous. There's always been dance at the ceremony.
He probably would prefer if there wasn't any women at all
Yeah,
there.
they might offend the gods with their presence, according to him. Which is ridiculous, dear, I know. Like, don't worry too much about it. You've got your back.
But if this goes well, do you think I could be a leg, or even an eye?
You have aspirations to become an eye.
Any part of it, officially?
I can talk to, our voice. To the Manar.
Or maybe, could there be a new cast for people who want to perform
That's
in the name of the
a
gods?
large question, which would have to be discussed by the voices. As in, we'd have to get this through the hands first, see if they agree with it, and then it would be a subject for the voices to discuss. But seeing how our current Ofar is, Mose is not gonna... He wants change, that much is true, but... I don't think he wants to see that kind of change.
What about you, Amara? Is there anything that you'd like to see change and how things are done?
Well, there is plenty of things I would like to see changed. I wouldn't advise becoming a leg, though. I sometimes help with their chores, and it's difficult work.
I suppose help when I can.
My dear,
No problem with a bit of, you know,
do not
elbow grease.
take the station of leg. It's beneath you. If you want to apply to the church or to the ziggurat, I would go for an eye if I were you, at the very least. Do not sell your freedom for it.
There,
Wait, don't have to be
there is
ready
a.
yet.
Sorry.
You go ahead.
There is an eye of Manat, which I know, who also takes